Hey everyone, Blue KQ here. Welcome back to the arcade. Today we're playing a game that I'm super excited that finally released. Today is November 5th, and we are going to play Planet Zoo. We're going to do the first hour today. Hopefully we can get through more than the tutorial, and we'll try to get into some real gameplay. So anyway, let's get started. Okay, tutorial mode. We've got Goodwin House. What's it say? It says, renovated and renamed after its purchase by Bernard Goodwin in the 1980s, Goodwin House has since become one of the most respected zoos in the country. More recently has undergone a further renovation to update many of the habitats and facilities, but due to various issues, the work hasn't quite been completed, which is where you come in. Start now. Let's do it. Build slopes and elevated walkways by dragging the mouse up or down when laying paths. Oh, because it'll be flat. So I played Planet Coaster a bunch. No, I shouldn't say a bunch. I played it some. I really enjoy the game. So I'm super excited about Planet Zoo. You may have seen in some of my earlier videos, I did a zoo park. Found 4 or 5 hours worth of zoo park. That was a fun game too, and I really enjoyed it. So, but I just love the amount of complexity and customization you can do in the Planet Coaster and hopefully Planet Zoo.
Yeah, sorry about that. I have a habit of slipping back into the Planko language. It's good to finally meet you in person. I'm Bernard, although I insist you call me Bernie. The only person who calls me Bernard is my wife. And even then, only when I've tracked elephant dung into the carpets. As you know, I own several zoos, but I always like to show people the ropes here at my home. This is the first zoo I ever opened, and a source of great pride for me. And prides, thanks to a lion breeding program we ran in the 80s. But we're in the middle of a big renovation, and that's where you come in. Sadly, our old contractor had to retire after developing a fur allergy. Poor devil kept sneezing his dentures into the lion habitat. So, it's up to you to finish everything off. Don't worry, though. I'm not completely throwing you into the deep end. My head keeper, Nancy Jones, will be lending a helping hand. Oh, she's a hard worker, and she'll expect you to be too. But I'm sure you'll get along like a house on fire, or even better, one that isn't on fire. Less shouting that way.
Awesome. All right, Goodwin.
Hello there. From that rosy, fresh face of yours, I'm guessing you're Bernie's new hire. Good. Now, I hope you're ready to ditch your diploma because we're about to get really hands-on. But before we begin the real work, how about we familiarize you with the zoo by learning how to fly around it and visiting some of our beautiful animals. We'll start by popping over and having a look-see at the grizzly bears in their habitat. Did you know that grizzly bears, also known as Ursus arctos horribilis, can hibernate for up to 7 months a year? Oh, but then again, given the chance, I think a lot of people would do that too. Select one of the bears and you'll bring up its information panel. This is where you can find out all kinds of information about your animal, the most important thing being its overall welfare. You'll learn more about animal welfare today as we go through your objectives. But for now, let's enjoy this magnificent animal. Why don't you select the camera at the bottom of its information panel?
Oh.
See now, this is a fantastic way to get a close look at your animals. You can also get this view of an animal by simply double-clicking on it. Okay, when you're ready, let's pop over to the other side of the zoo and take a look at the lions. I've marked their location for you to find.
Whoa, not what here's what I'm missing. I'm missing a rotate. And because the objectives popped up, I don't get to see what the camera controls are anymore. So, my goodness, that's a little sensitive. We'll go down and we'll go, whoa. I might need to change the sensitivity a little bit. I want to be able to pan up and down. Yeah, these objectives kind of got in the way, didn't they? I want to see my controls. Yeah, I'm here.
Panthera Leo Leo, or the West African lion to you and me. Lions are the most social of the big cats, and there can be as many as 40 lions in a pride, although prides of that size are pretty rare. As Bernie would say, those lions are awesome, which is precisely why I handle the training instead these days. Anyway, how about we get started on those objectives? Come on, let's head over to an empty habitat and see what needs doing there.
Yeah, would be super cool to be able to rotate my camera and know what that really does.
As you can see, it's a lovely space for animals, but it's missing a certain something. Well, two somethings. Warthogs. So I'd like you to adopt a pair of them. To adopt animals, we need to open the animal market, which is in the animal trading section.
Animal trading, got it.
There we are, a pair of perfectly splendid warthogs for our zoo. Just click on them and select Adopt from the side menu. Normally the animal exchange would be full of animals, but I've emptied out the market while you learn how it works. The last thing I need is you accidentally ordering a dozen elephants. When you adopt an animal, it's automatically placed in the trade center, where they're held until you're ready to move them into their habitat, which, as it happens, you are. So how about you move them into their new home? When you ask for an animal to be moved into a habitat, your caretakers will go to the trade center, collect your animal, and deliver them to your selected habitat. I've marked the trade center's location, so let's go and watch the caretakers in action.
Oh, there it is. Found it.
Well, as you can see, those caretakers don't hang about. They'll move those animals to their destination as fast as possible. Of course, normally we'd have to place the animals into quarantine before moving them into a habitat, but I am assured by a person of good standing that these warthogs are in the very rudest of health. Right, let's get the warthog's habitat finished up so we can keep them nice and happy. You see, each animal in the zoo has an overall welfare statistic, basically how happy they are. And that overall welfare statistic is itself comprised of 4 different areas: nutrition, social health, habitat, and enrichment. Luckily, if you select an animal, you'll bring up their animal welfare information panel, which we saw earlier, where you can see how they're doing. That way, you'll know exactly what areas need to be addressed. Don't worry if that's a lot to remember. You can always check the Zoopedia for more information.
And enrichment.
Let's start by making sure we're taking care of the warthog's nutrition welfare. To do this, we'll need to place a food station and a drinking station. Now, each animal requires a different type of feeding station. And for the warthogs, it's a small feeding trough. So let's add one of those and a water bowl. Animals also require stimulation to keep them happy. Let's add a lovely mud bath for the warthogs to roll around in. That bath will count towards their enrichment welfare, specifically their toy enrichment welfare.
Okay. We got food?
Oh, nice work. You've got a knack for this, I see. Now, our contractor had to leave in a hurry, so this place is in a pharaoh state. Unfinished thingamajigs and wotsits all over the shop. But the first thing we need to finish is the ostrich habitat. It's over near the hippos.
Over near the hippos. I don't want that anymore. Oh, I found it. Found it. Would be nice again. Oh, to be able to rotate. Can I rotate? I'm here. This is tasks. Visiting players. Somebody's watching.
Oh, before we actually start building our ostrich habitat, let's pause the game. Just click the pause button in the bottom right corner.
Okay.
That's more like it. A quick break. Sometimes it's a good idea to pause the game whilst you're doing something which requires your concentration, because it'll stop the zoo spinning out of control while you're looking the other way. Let's keep the game paused while we get this ostrich habitat built. Okay, job number 1 here is to add a habitat gate before we complete the barrier. Every habitat needs a habitat gate. After all, how else would the keepers get in and out? Just make sure it's hooked up to the path so the keepers can reach it.
Again, would be super cool to be able to rotate. Obstructed. What? I think right there, right? It connects up to the path, but I can't see. Outside of placement area. Let's back up a little bit. It kind of snaps to right there, though. I want to spin around. How do I spin around? Pan camera, right click, rotate camera. That's not a rotate. That's not doing it. That's pan. No, that's rotate camera. Aha! That's not intuitive. Okay, got it. In case you're wondering, it is to hold down the middle mouse button and There we go.
Let's complete
Hold down the middle
perimeter
mouse button and drag it
barrier
around.
So we can adopt us some ostriches. I've marked out an area for you to use, so I'd like you to finish off the perimeter using the brick barrier.
Okay, brick barrier. Oh wow, she literally doesn't want me to do much beyond what she's asking for. I don't know what that just did.
Good work. Remember, before you can place animals in any habitat, it has to have a full loop of connected barrier. Now, you've probably noticed that guests can't actually see into this habitat at the moment. At least not without a stepladder. But seeing as they're banned, I'd like you to select a piece of barrier and swap out the brick for a glass barrier, so the guests can see in. There we go. Adding in more windows gives guests even more opportunities to see the animals in a habitat. It's always best to make sure the guests can get a good view into a habitat from the path they're walking on, because it makes them happy, and because this would be a pretty terrible zoo if they couldn't. The last thing we need to do is to add a donation box. You see, when guests enjoy the view of an animal, they'll make a donation. Just make sure you put them in easy-to-reach places, like near a viewing point. Donation boxes are one of the main sources of income for the zoo, so make sure you remember them.
Okay, cool. Kind of facilities. Donation box.
Now, before we adopt our ostriches, you should click the play button. After all, if the game's paused, then so are our caretakers, which will make it a bit tricky for them to deliver the ostriches, eh? By the way, as well as pausing the game, you can speed the game up by clicking on the fast forward button. It'll run everything at 2 times and 5 times faster.
Okay.
It can be useful, especially if you're waiting for money to accumulate or for animals to be delivered to your habitat. Personally, I use it when I'm waiting for a brew to finish. All right, you've finished the habitat, so it's high time we adopted those ostriches, don't you think? Let's get 4 of them in here.
Animal trading. There's 4. So we're going to adopt all 4 of these because it's the tutorial. And they're waiting in the trade center. Then we're going to say move here, move here, move there, and move there.
While we wait for them to be collected by the caretakers and brought to the habitat, you should get it ready for them. Add a suitable feeding station, water station, and an appropriate food enrichment item. It's often best to place things like enrichments and feeding stations near to the habitat perimeter, so guests can get a really good view of the animals.
All right.
Oh, good to see the ostriches have somewhere they can really stretch their legs. Did you know they can actually run at 43 miles per hour?
Oof.
Oh, heaven forbid they ever escape. The speed camera fines alone would bankrupt us.
Okay, bud. Let's continue.
Well, Bernie certainly seems impressed. Did he do his speed camera joke? Every time we get an ostrich. So, now we've made the ostriches' lives a bit better, let's do the same for the keepers, shall we? To make it easier for the keepers to feed the ostriches and hippos, we should build a new keeper hut. Keeper huts are where the keepers prepare the food for animals, so they should be placed near to the habitats to make sure the keepers don't waste their time walking when they should be looking after the animals.
Right, so if I were to really make this my I would have way more glass, but it won't let me. So facilities. This is a classic keeper hut, Planet Zoo keeper hut, small. They're literally the same price.
You'll need to rotate the keeper hut to get it to connect up to the path.
Okay. And that's gonna be Z. Ooh. Rotate my camera a little bit. We're gonna back up a little bit so I can see. What was it? What was it? Z and a rotate. You happy? Yep.
This keeper hut only has space for one keeper, but the larger keeper hut can allow multiple keepers to prepare food at the same time. Oh, but bear in mind that keeper huts and other staff facilities shouldn't be placed near to areas where there are lots of guests. Guests don't like seeing facility buildings, and it can affect their happiness. Negatively.
Oh no.
In case that wasn't clear.
In case that wasn't
Something
clear.
that all facilities, shops, and a whole host of other objects need is power. And that obviously includes your newly built keeper hut. So let's place a transformer next to it, shall we?
Oh my goodness.
Now, the reason everything has gone blue is because you're using the power heat map. This map allows you to see what is and what isn't powered in your zoo. So once you've placed your transformer, you can click in the bottom left to turn the heat map off. Lovely work. Now the keepers can start using the hut to prepare food, and thanks to where you've put it, they won't need to walk very far to deliver it to the ostriches and hippos. Let's get on to your next objective then.
Okay.
Bengal tigers.
Oh, tigers.
We want to adopt some, but I'm afraid there's nothing ready for them yet. Head on over to the plot of land I've marked out. It's not too far away.
Okay. Not too far away. There it is. Ooh. Okay.
Righty, your next job is to build a habitat from scratch.
From scratch.
And concrete and glass, I expect. So go ahead and build it. Just make sure that the habitat includes that big hole we've dug. Oh, and don't forget to add a habitat gate to the barrier.
Habitat gate. Okay. So
Oh, and make sure the guests will be able to see the tigers.
got it. All right. So for planning stuff out a little bit, this is clearly just gonna be about a wall because there's no guests here. So this can be a wall. Have glass along the way there. There's already benches there, so we can just put yeah. Okay. So let's go barriers and red brick, glass, concrete, habitat gate. Okay, so if we do a habitat gate, we can put that. We'll put that right there. $2, $1.75. Okay, so gonna basically come along here like that, and like this. What? What is it? I don't want it to be that long. Because I'm wasting a lot of space there. Right? You see, game? What's the way to shorten that up?
Now, Bernie takes safety very seriously at his zoos, so we should probably make sure those tigers can't jump out of their habitat, don't you think? The way we'll do it is by changing the height of the habitat's barrier. Okay then, you should start by double-clicking the habitat barrier, which will take you into barrier editing mode. Great. Now highlight the entire perimeter of the habitat. You can do that by clicking and dragging the barrier selection tool. Now you've got all of the perimeter selected, you can increase the height of it by clicking and dragging the barrier height tool upwards. You'll want to make sure it reaches a height of at least 3.7 meters. Now that the habitat is in place, don't forget to put down a donation box near to your viewing areas. We need every dollar we can get. Especially as these tigers aren't exactly eating instant noodles for lunch.
I want glass. What? Can this be? Oh, okay. I can't undo it. Okay. Well, that's too bad. Donation.
Okay, that's the habitat boundary complete, the habitat gate in place, and most importantly, the tigers won't be able to jump out of it anymore. I think it's time we adopted those tigers.
Alright, we'll do that. I messed that up. I was hoping to exchange some of those for glass after I put up the wall, but before it was an actual wall. But this is not good. They don't have any food or water yet.
Whilst our trusty caretakers collect and deliver the tigers, let's take a look at preparing the habitat for their arrival. We'll start with the basics. Add a suitable feeding station for them.
Okay, it's there.
This time, instead of adding a water bowl, let's try something
Ooh, fill that with some water? Cool.
Some animals need a pool in their habitat so they can go for a swim, but they can also use it to drink from. All you have to do is make sure the banks of the pool have a gentle slope so they can easily get a nice, refreshing drink.
Okay.
There's already a pool excavated, but you still need to fill it with water.
Water?
You should do that by going into terrain and selecting the water tool.
Terrain. Over here. Water. Calm water? Rough water. Calm. And then it says add water.
Yes, that'll do nicely. Of course, just like the warthogs and ostriches, these tigers will also need some enrichment. Why don't you add some suitable toy and food enrichment items into their habitat?
Heaters, coolers, all enrichment. Frozen blood pumpkin. Rubbing pad.
Okay, it's really starting to take shape. Now, the tigers will need a shelter in their habitat so they can hide from the guests, or more likely the bad weather. Although given that we're in England, you might want to think of that just as normal weather.
England?
Go on, add a shelter to their habitat. You can either build one from various suitable bits and bobs, or if you like, just pop down the blueprint that I've already built for you.
Okay. Habitat. Oh, shelters. Oh, that's big. Okay. So Z, rotate. Oh, I see. Okay, I kind of wanna.
Oh, poor Dabs. I'm sure it can't have escaped your attention that the tigers look a bit miffed. That's because they aren't too keen on the type of terrain in their habitat. Select a tiger and bring up its information panel.
Okay.
Rightio. Click on the terrain tab. That way you can view the terrain information and see how they feel about the different types of terrain. That'll tell you what the tigers need more of or less of in this habitat.
Enough shelter is available to cover all the animals.
Okay then, open the terrain editing tool, select painting, and give them some more soil. Yes, that should help with the habitat part of their welfare.
Grass, they like long grass? Less long grass. Correct soil. Oh, right there. Animal needs more soil. Light, heavy, sand, rock, snow. Okay. Happy about that. Less long grass. So I guess we'll paint over some more of the long grass.
Right then. All animals need plants and trees from their own biome or continent. You know, deserts, savannas, or Asia, Europe, that sort of thing. It looks like these tigers need a few more plants in their habitat. To get a perfect fit, use plants from the rainforest and temperate biomes that are native to Asia. Although if you have to, you can get away with using just one or the other. The tigers will also want a certain amount of their habitat to be covered by those plants. To find out which plants to use and how many, select a tiger and go to the Environment tab.
Okay, did that.
Now, as you can see, some of the plants currently in the habitat aren't quite right for the tiger, like the wattle bushes. You can remove them if you want.
Is that the wattle bush?
You can find all of the plants you need in the nature section, and you can use the filters to only show the types of plants you want to see. In this case, that's plants from the rainforest or temperate biomes.
Temperate. Did she say rainforest? Okay. Asia, temperate, tropical. Oh, okay. So tropical grassland. Okay. So if I come in here, hawthorn bush. This is acacia tree. Where's the ones that she doesn't like? Is it these ones? Aha. Delete. 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 Okay, so now if we come out of there and we click on the tiger and we say show me your animal, we need more plants that you like. Plants in the habitat, not from the same continent. Okay, so this Africa. Bye-bye. Okay, so now how do you feel about your plants? Okay, now you just need more of your plants. Holly tree, Asia, Bengal bamboo. Oh yes. Okay. Let's oh yeah, we'll put some over here too. Like that. How about some low? I don't like that. This? Oh. Is that gonna fit in there? Those are big. Holy cow. Okay. There we go. Wait a minute. Nature. Didn't I grab it from there? Oh, they're big. Got it. I got the 4-meter ones. Why is it not snapping to the ground? How you doing now, tigers? Coverage 17%. They need more. How about some over here? There's keepers there. And holly tree. Because what I want to make sure we're not doing, don't be outside there. Okay. They like the type of plants. Elm tree? Oh, that's a big elm tree. Okay, we got the silver.
They say that good fences make good neighbors. I guess that's doubly true when one of the neighbors is a Bengal tiger. Still, those tigers look so happy that I doubt they'd leave, even if you did poke a hole in their fence. Oh, but for heaven's sake, don't test that theory.
Right. Let's head over to the Indian peafowls. I've been told that we need to improve their social welfare.
Okay. Nice. Okay, we're not pretty, but we're knocking out the tutorials. Okay, let's close some of this stuff. Peafowl.
Now then, just find one of the peafowls and select them to open their information panel. Then we can have a good gander at how they're doing.
Okay.
Although technically, I suppose gandering would just be for geese.
Social group.
Expand their social welfare, and we can get a bit more detail.
We need two. We got too few adults.
Now, they've clearly got plenty of space, and they're not stressed, but it looks like their social group isn't quite right. So let's find out more. Click on the social tab at the top of their information panel to see what's wrong.
Adult population is too low.
Right. As you can see, the peafowlers need their population to be larger. To solve this little problem, you'll need to adopt 3 more female peafowls. Off you pop to the animal market then.
Okay. Animal market. Can this one be on top? Female. These are all 3 female. Awesome. Adopt. Adopt. Adopt.
Good work on those peafowlers. I expect they'll be delivered soon. But sadly, it sounds like our snow leopard is a bit grumpy. Let's head over there and see what's wrong with her.
There you are.
Just like people, animals can suffer from stress if things aren't quite right. You know, like when you see someone put in the milk before the tea bag. In the case of these snow leopards, they're a bit stressed by their lack of privacy. You can lower their stress levels by swapping out the normal glass barrier by their cave for one-way glass. It's not a cheap option, but I think they're worth the expense, don't you? This will give the snow leopards somewhere to go when they want to get away from the prying eyes of the guests.
Really? One-way glass. Transparent from one side, opaque from the other, not climbable, and it's watertight. Come on now. Did I do that right? Seems so.
Of course, when an animal isn't in its natural biome, it's probably going to be too hot or too cold. Unsurprisingly for the snow leopards, it's too hot. even with the terrible British weather. You should help cool it down by adding some coolers to their habitat. But let's start by opening up the temperature heat map and having a look-see at the temperature in the leopard's habitat.
Oh, that's...
As you can see, we already have one cooler in there. Let's pop some more down and get as much of the habitat as chilly as we can. Luckily for us, this habitat already has power, but you'll need to make sure of that in the future. Just so you know, if any part of a habitat is powered, then the whole habitat will be powered.
Oh, okay. That's good to know. Heaters and coolers. There's a cooler. Is this...
You can find heat maps for all sorts of helpful things, so do be sure to explore them and make good use of them. It'll take a little while for the temperature to adjust once you've added coolers or heaters, but now we've got the coolers in, we can address the leopard's terrain welfare. You see, what the leopards really want in here is snow and rock, so let's make that happen.
We need snow.
All of that should give you a pretty good understanding of how to make animals happy. So I'd like you to go and check on all the other animals in the zoo and fix up any issues with their habitats. That'll increase the average welfare of the animals across the whole zoo. And that average welfare is a very important statistic. Now, to quickly see how all your animals are doing in the zoo, you should go into zoo management and then into the animals section.
Zoo management.
As you can see, this list shows you the animal's overall welfare. So if something's amiss, then you can quickly pop over to them using the locate button. Right, I'm off for a cuppa while you make sure all the animals are well looked after.
Zebras and giraffes. Ooh, welfare, not happy. Okay, so let's do this really quickly. Let's see what we can find here. Terrain, they're not happy about the terrain. Inappropriate, welfare, and then terrain. Plants needs to be the biggest one. So we're looking for African grassland. And this is from African grassland. Is it just that there's not enough? Hello. Environment. Okay. Where are you? Oh. Yeah, I'd like to be able to select you. Uh-oh. We have more problems. We'll have to get to that in a second. Okay. But I want nature. Let's look at our filters. Biome is not. We just want grassland and continent. Don't want Asia. We only want Africa. Okay. And let's see, now I need you terrain. So, did we get rid of a bunch of the stuff you don't? No, there's still some trees. Those ones? That one's actually right. Nope, this one's not right. Oh, it is. No, it isn't. Desert. What are you? You serious? Who set this up? Click. Oh, that's habitat bedding. Okay, we don't want that. That's right. Feeder. Okay, so now if we just say, let's put in, need some. Want some tall trees. Is there a filter I can? Oh, yes. How are you feeling now about your plants? Enrichment, food, toys, habitat. And toys. Filter for giraffes. What do they call them? Obi is a reticulated giraffe. URS. I can do this. Reticulate. There we go. There we go. Oh, sprinkler.
Not bad. Not bad at all. I think it's fair to say that you've passed the first part of your training with flying colours. There's still lots more to learn, but we'll have to head to another one of Bernie's zoos for that. If you want to grab your passport, we'll head off, shall we?
Passport? We're going international, peoples.
Sounds like you got the whole zoo purring away nicely. Well, purring, grunting, screaming, booming. All the appropriate noises. I guess I was right to hire you, huh? Don't tell her I told you, but Nancy wasn't sure you'd even last the morning. So, we're happy this is working out. And Nancy owes me a Foxy coffee.
Foxy coffee.
As strange as it seems, considering we just met, when I look at you, I feel like you're the child I never had. After the one I did have, obviously. But you see, Zookeeping's not for my daughter. Don't get me wrong. Emma absolutely loves animals, but she set her sights somewhat higher. Wants to save the entire planet. I'll just settle for saving a couple of species. Oh, and maybe having a type of frog named after me.
Okay, Bernie. Frogs it is. Okay, so this thirsty Titan beetle. Eek. Where are you, bud? No, don't call the keeper. I want... Where are you? Are you in here? Where? Hello? Are you really in here? Oh, he's just not getting fed quickly enough. Okay. Awesome. Does that mean we're done with this? Superstar comes along. Okay, have my gold. Now what? Wikipedia. There we go. Did all the gold. Okay. Now we go back. We go back. And main menu. Okay, this is a tutorial, so I don't need to save it, right?
Hey! Hey! Yeah!
Okay, well, there we are. Not quite an hour, but I feel if I get into the next one, then we will. We're gonna go way beyond an hour, and like I apologize for the most recent video I did was trying to make up for the lack of a long hour, and it turned into a 2-hour video. So we're gonna cut this one off here instead of keep going. Thanks for stopping by. Planet Zoo, super excited about. Once I get more familiar with the controls and things like that, it'll get a lot faster, and I'm really looking forward to that. So next time we're gonna do the next tutorial, the ape apprenticeship or ape renticeship, I guess, in the Madagascar Simian Conservation Project. So that's the next step in the tutorial. We're gonna knock that one out in the next video. Here's what I need from you guys. If you like this video, if you want to see more playthroughs, first hour especially, be sure to leave a comment down below, like the video, hit subscribe to let me know you're enjoying the content. Hit the bell button if you want to know the next time I upload the video. And thanks for stopping by the arcade. Had a lot of fun with this tutorial, and we're gonna keep moving along.